Hey everybody, this is IndieGeek, and today I'm taking a look at a story about my uncle. This is a game coming out on Steam tomorrow, and it is from Gone North Games. It is going to be $13 and only available on PC, but I will, of course, as always, link in the description to the Steam page. So I'm going to jump into a new game here. I am going to overwrite my previous save. I did actually finish the game basically in one sitting earlier.
Dad?
Aren't you sleeping yet? I am going to talk over the voices here, sorry, but basically what's going on is the way that this is framed is we are telling our daughter a story about our uncle, and that is where the title comes from and is going to act as kind of the framework for the narrative portion of the game. As a whole, basically what is going on in the game is that it is kind of a narrative-based sort of first-person platformer, I guess would be maybe the best way to describe it. And there's a lot of different elements going on here, which is why I don't necessarily just describe it as a platformer. This section of the game is actually really cool, and pardon me, I'm actually going to turn the audio down just a little bit more. I will leave subtitles up, of course, so you can follow along with that if you would like to. But so it starts off, and I was kind of reminded a lot of like Gone Home, because you can go and you can read all these notes and check out the pictures and stuff, and you kind of get an idea for who the uncle is even before you've started the game, just by sort of checking out the uncle's house. But then we've got kind of these bright kind of blue lit things which lead us to kind of progressing the story here. And the story, well, the gameplay, I mean, is going to take a very big turn here very quickly. Because we are going to get this suit, and this is where all of the first-person kind of puzzle platforming comes into play. And this may go on a little longer than I would do a normal Let's Look At, just because there are certain things that I want to show off. Because what's going to happen over the next little bit is that we are going to kind of gain different powers, basically, for our suit. I am going to kind of jump through these story sections a little fast. Like, I obviously, in my personal playthrough, I took a little more time to kind of look around, read notes, stuff like that, kind of fill out the story, I guess you could say, for myself. And that is definitely how I'd recommend playing it, which is why I'm kind of skipping over some of that stuff, because I think, like Gone Home, like I said, this is going to be a game where you are going to get back what you put into it. Also, like Gone Home, it's not super long, but I feel like it's a really, really rewarding experience. I think it took me maybe 3.5 hours or so to finish my first playthrough. And, I spent a little bit of time exploring, but for the most part, I just kind of went through the kind of normal progression of the game to experience the story. And, I don't think it's a problem at all, the length of the game. I think that the length was perfect. I felt definitely satisfied with the end, and I was extremely satisfied by the story that I got out of it, as well as the gameplay that I got out of it. So, you're going to see here, we're going to learn a couple of tricks. So those are save points. We can run, we can jump with A, and then we've also got a secondary jump as well, which actually uses the power of our suit. And that allows us to jump a little higher than normal. So, basically what's going to end up happening here is that we are going to gain more and more powers that allow us to kind of maneuver these environments a little bit better. I do want to mention real quick, because it's looking maybe like a little framey right now. That is 100% just due to the fact that I'm recording while playing. I did not have any issues with frame rate or anything while I was playing earlier, so at least in my experience, the game runs absolutely fantastically. Oops. Yeah, we cannot fall into water. Luckily here, for most of the game, the checkpoints are pretty lenient. There are a couple sections near the end of the game, and that's probably my only complaint about the game at all, is that there were a couple sections near the end of the game that where maybe could have just used like a couple more checkpoints, but also that's kind of personal preference, personal skill level, things like that. So then we're kind of, we have sections like this where by kind of viewing something like this, we can learn a little more kind of extra info about our Uncle Fred here. And again, of course, all of this is told through the framework of, yeah, I messed the jump up pretty bad. All of this is told through the framework of us telling a story to our daughter, which I think is kind of cool. I think it's a really nice way of telling a story, in my opinion. You know, and it feels really real. It feels from the heart, things like that. And like I said, I definitely enjoyed the story all the way through. Yeah, I'm kind of messing that jump up. Alright. You do have to get like a little bit of a running start, which is probably my issue here. No, I'm not sure what's going on with that. I'll get this figured out though. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I think you have to hold the run button first before you start holding the jump button, which would be why that was screwing up. Alright, so yeah, I mean, you can see already that like our platforming kind of objectives here are getting more complicated already, and they will definitely get more complicated as we go on, because before we end the video here, I will get one more power-up that is going to really change the gameplay, and that's actually right here. So, now we get a grapple, and this is where things get really interesting. So basically, because I got one power crystal there, I can grapple once before I need to land on the ground again. As we go on, we will get a second and a third power crystal, which you can kind of guess from looking at the glove there. You know, there are kind of two missing sections that could be lit up. Hard to tell right now, but actually I can go over in the light here and we'll see that pretty well if we can get in the right spot. So yeah, you can see the right and the bottom there will also get lit up. And then at that point, that's when things get really kind of crazy, because we will have 3 grapples before we need to touch the ground, which will definitely kind of change the gameplay and change the puzzles as well, actually. Alright, head over here. Oh, and this is good. I can actually show off the collectibles. This is another thing that, of course, would lengthen a playthrough, is that you can find these collectibles. The way they're kind of frameworked into the game is that they are supposed to be like your uncle's kind of research. So you are, you notice that his research machines are working, so you're going to collect the research for him so you can give it to him when you find him. Because, of course, when we got in the house, we saw Fred was missing, so we will be attempting to find Fred. And yeah, you can see here that it's demonstrating the fact that we can combine things like the power jump and the power leap. And I did that wrong, but I think it'll work alright. It did. Oh no. That did not work alright. Oh, I think it's still grappled. Yeah, it still grabbed the save point for me. Alright. And it does look, I guess, a little complicated at first, but after like 5 or 10 minutes of playing around with the grapple stuff, it pretty much becomes second nature. And there weren't really any sections that I was finding like I couldn't figure out what I needed to do, or like didn't have the skills to do, or anything like that. Yeah, I guess like from a difficulty standpoint, the only thing that got hard was just sections late in the game where there was kind of not very many checkpoints. That's really, I guess, the only reason that I found anything in the game hard. So I wouldn't worry about, like, really challenging gameplay here, because even though it looks kind of crazy and, you know, you're flying around everywhere, it all feels really intuitive, which I think is, you know, it's a really good sign. That something that looks so cool and looks so impossibly difficult is done in a really intuitive way. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the gameplay in a nutshell. Of course, there are other aspects to the game that I also really liked. Like I've mentioned a few times, you know, I think it's a good story. I know not everyone is still kind of attached to these, like, I can't tell. Yeah, that was weird. Sometimes, just due to the nature of the gameplay here, you do tend to get maybe kind of like latched onto something in a weird way. Yeah, and it may have happened again. Oh, that was close though. Yeah, sometimes because of that, you can have some weird kind of physics interactions, but I think if I grab it from this side, we will be fine, and we'll make it over. Yeah, like I said though, I've been really pleased with the story. Everything about the story really feels really good. And you know, later on we're going to meet like some really cool characters. I may have just like totally botched this. I don't know what I'm doing here. Oh, maybe not. Do I got it? I got it. Okay. Perfect. There's a save point. Yeah, I think so. So from there, I guess. Yeah, I don't want to give too much away about the story, but like I said, I found it. Oops, I missed. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll just have to wait for it to come back around. Yeah, so I won't really go too much more into the story. I will say I definitely enjoyed it. I am personally not tired of these like first-person kind of narrative style games. I know some people are not super into them. That being said, I think that this is a really good one. I think that the story that's being told here is really good. Kind of a charming and, you know, really, really kind of heartwarming story, I guess. Oops. Physics saved me there, I guess. Sometimes you can do that. And if you latch on from a low enough point, you can kind of manage to grapple your way back up like that, if that makes sense. Alright, yep. I know that. Did I miss something? It seems a little weird that it would tell me that right there. Although now that I think about it, I think I remember thinking the same thing. Yeah, that, I guess what I will say is that, like, that little tidbit of info seems to be a little out of place. Unless, no, I think I may have missed a power crystal, actually. I don't know how you would miss one. So, how weird. Because this, right, this seems like, yeah, a jump that I would need 2. So, there must be like a power crystal over here that I just did not see. Something like that. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what's up with that. Well, let's see what happens. So what can I do here? Maybe I can make it just fine. No, I may have missed something. Huh. That's a little worrisome. I'm not really totally sure what I can do about that, unless I can somehow grapple. No. Well, anyways, I guess I will look around here, see if I can figure out if I missed something or not. Anyways, so... Oh, unless I was I going the wrong way? No, that doesn't seem right. Yeah, so anyways, oh, there it is. Oh, right, because I went over this on accident. Ooh, yeah, that's tricky. Of course, I think on your first playthrough, you probably wouldn't think of going over that. So, okay, now I understand what happened. So yeah, you see now that I've got 2 grapples, which, of course, immediately becomes useful. Anyways, yeah, sorry about that. That was odd and totally my fault. Yeah, so like the art direction I think is also really good. One thing that really got me about the game was that just through the entire thing, I was really impressed by how it looked, and I was really drawn into the world. It's a really very beautiful world. I'm not sure what engine this is done in. It looks like it could be Unity, I think would probably be my guess. But yeah, whatever it's done in, it looks really nice. It looks absolutely breathtaking. And there are 3 or 4 kind of big areas in the game that all have like a really unique look to them as well. So, you know, we will definitely see more. Oops, totally missed that one. It's okay. Areas as you go through the game. But I think the other thing to mention about the visuals is that from like an art direction kind of standpoint, as far as how it relates to gameplay, they do a really good job of using kind of these nice kind of turquoise, I guess, lights to kind of indicate to the player where to go next.
Did you ever see any of Fred's experiments yourself?
Which I think is really smart, because it would be really easy to miss something if that wasn't there, because otherwise we'd just have this cave full of rocks and not really know which way to take. But I don't think there was ever like a section where I wasn't sure of where to go, which is another good thing to bring up. Because at that point, then we're talking like the only real challenge to me as a player was, could I figure out how to actually grapple my way through an environment rather than trying to figure out where to go in the environment. So I think that is, you know, just something to bring up that I think this game really does well, and honestly better than a lot of games do. So that is something that I really like. We're probably coming up here to where I want to stop. And then of course there's the sound portion of the game, and I think that's all really done as well. The voice acting feels really good. You know, there's only 4 or 5 different characters that are voiced, but they all sound good, I think. And you know, the rest from a sound perspective, things like the sounds of us grappling onto stuff, things like that, it all sounds really good as well. And that, yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much covers everything about the game. I do want to say, like, you know, because we've got this weird thing going on with Steam that I think most people have noticed, where there's just like tons and tons of games coming out. I just want to really kind of vouch for this game. This is probably one of my favorite games of the year so far, and I would definitely recommend that you pick this up. I had a great time with it. It was one of the weird kind of times when I sat down and I played the game start to finish, and that doesn't happen very often. And a lot of times I won't finish games anymore just because I don't have the time for it, but this one I sat down and I played it, and I was so drawn into everything that I played it from start to finish.
Really? Me too. I'll help you find it.
So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to kind of give my personal recommendation here. As always, of course, do check out other reviews and stuff. You know, don't just take my word for it. See what other reviewers are saying about it.
I'll show you around. I bet you can get there easily with your suit thing. So, I'll see you there.
Alright, so yeah, that's Maddie. Sorry, I kind of talked over all of her lines again. I said I didn't want to kind of show off too much of the story, but she is obviously, as you can see, part of a different species, so that's kind of where we're at now, and you can see that this is the second environment, and it starts looking a little different, and we can actually kind of see her village off in the distance, and that's where we'll be heading next, but I think that will be where I will wrap this up for today. So, as always, feel free to leave comments if you would like to. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of my videos every single day, and of course, if you liked my look at a story about my uncle, then please do consider clicking the like button. But with that, of course, I will again remind you that there is a link in the description to the store page on Steam, and I, of course, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.